So in this week's video, I'm teaching a design that I haven't done here on the channel before. It's a gorgeous bridal bouquet. If you want to learn how to create a design like this, keep watching today's video. So welcome back to today's video. Let's grab my scissors. Now you might not realise that when I started this channel it was aimed at hobby-based flower arrangers rather than commercial florists, but I've had lots of requests for a hand-tied bouquet. I've always been a little reluctant to do it on the channel because it's almost like I'm giving away all the trade secrets. But what you might not realise is that over on the website, so you'll find the link in the description box below, there are lots of online courses that you can participate in from the comfort of your own home. And there are 2 courses that teach hand tides, and there are also workbooks that you download with written instructions that are linked to a private YouTube video that teaches you how to do hand-tied bouquets. So if it's something that you really want to learn, there are lots of ways other than watching the free tutorial. You can download some of the courses from the website. Now I've chosen today to do a bridal bouquet, and it's mainly because there is a design that's coming to the channel soon, which is a parallel arrangement or a meadow style arrangement that you would more often than not see at a wedding. So I've taken that design apart. I haven't quite decided yet whether you're going to see the arrangement first and then the bridal bouquet, or the bridal bouquet and then the arrangement. But I have got a slight addition of a few extra coloured flowers in this arrangement because I did this for a bride a few weeks ago and the colour combination worked really well. Now I've already prepped the flowers, so if you look from the overhead camera you'll see that I've prepped everything and I've laid it out in front of me. It's quite cold at the moment, we're in October, so I'm not worried about these being out of water. But if this was the summer months, then I would condition these by removing all the foliage or the majority of the foliage and any thorns from below the tie point, which will become more evident as I move on. I would do all that process first, so we call that conditioning in the trade, and then I would sit it back in little vases of water so it was easy for me to work with. I've laid everything out on the table in front of me because that's the method that I like to work with. I might not use all of the flowers that I've got, and I do have some white roses on standby should I feel that this combination doesn't work quite so well. But it's a really pretty colour combination, and I'm going to do like a bridal hand tie that I would refer to as a crescent shape, but I know the Americans call this a V shape, and the reason that I call it a crescent is probably because it follows the traditional sort of crescent shaped flower arrangement, but because it has spiky sort of flowers in it that are arranged in this sort of manner, we do almost get like a V-shaped bouquet. I think I might have maybe too many flowers here, but they've all come out of that arrangement, that parallel arrangement, and I've added a little bit of extra burgundy. So I've got some Arum lilies, and these have actually come from a plant. So I like to encourage home flower arrangers to experiment at home. That's why they're home flower arrangers. And if you can't get hold of something that's tropical, unusual, maybe a more expensive flower, then I quite often suggest you buy plants and you take them apart. So these are arum lilies that have come from a plant. So they're quite short stemmed, and these are some little echinacea that I've actually picked from the garden, but they worked so well with the other colours that I've got. I've got a lightweight and fairly whimsical sort of flower selection. And what I'm going to do first of all is use my foliage to create what I call a core structure. Now if you come on any of the online courses with me, I refer to this as a core structure. If you're using foliage, this core structure is easy to achieve. If you're doing a bouquet that doesn't have foliage in it, then you would use something like a hydrangea, some large open roses, some chrysanthemums, but something that's going to give you a little bit of body and weight in the middle, because this will help support your flowers and push your flowers out. And I'm going to try and do it facing you so that you get to see a better view of it. Now I am using some short pieces of flowers and foliage, that have come out of that previous arrangement. I wouldn't normally use these because they are too short to go into any water, and between today and delivering this tomorrow, if this was a bride, this is a fictitious bride, I would sit this in water, and some of these stems are too short. So you need to remember that anything you're using needs to be long enough to sit in a vase of water overnight before you deliver it the following day. But this little core structure here in the middle is going to give me the ability to spread my flowers out around the design. And I'm almost going to sacrifice that little chrysanthemum at the front. It's short because it's come out of that previous arrangement, and it's not long enough really for it to be in any other part of the arrangement. But it's going to work quite nicely there at the front to push out any of my other flowers. And what I'm aiming to do is to create a little bit of structure, shape and base weight in the arrangement. Now I should really have a mirror behind the camera, and then I'd be able to see the shape of this bouquet. So you're going to have to bear with me when I put it together, but it'll work quite well. So the reason that I've dethorned everything, defoliated anything, is so that when it goes into my hand, I've got a clean area underneath where my hand is holding it to hold all the flowers together. And what I'm going to start to do is build up around that centre point to create a nice shape. I've used chrysanthemums so far, and the soft weight September flower is going to give the arrangement a really relaxed feel. And if you're left-handed, you're going to hold the bouquet in your right hand. If you're right-handed like me, your bouquet is always going to be in the left hand. And you always add into your bouquet from the same side. So you come across and open up your thumb to accommodate the stem. And because I've got all that weight in the middle, it's going to force out my flowers to start that V shape. And anything then that I want to come in through the middle, I feed down through the middle. But because I have that centre foliage, nothing is going to move around. It's all supported by the greenery that I placed in the very beginning. And then I'm going to keep adding. If it's coming from my right, it comes in front. If it's coming from the left, it goes behind. And if you want to add something in this position here, your stem doesn't come across the front of the bouquet because that's the opposite way to your spiral is going. You have to bring it in on the opposite side. Now, if you're new to floristry, you might have been taught the method to keep turning your bouquet around, and then I would work on it with this being the front, and I would look at it from this position. But because I'm trying to teach you and talk through it at the same time, I started with it facing you. But if I was working on it now, then I would bring flowers across the front of the bouquet, and I would open up my thumb to accommodate the stem. And I'm going to go back to this position. So now the front of the bouquet is facing you. But I can't see this very well because the camera's a little bit too far away. So I might have to adjust it as I'm going along. Now, one of the other flowers that came out of the bouquet was a short-stemmed piece of Eryngium, or the blue thistle. So that's going to sit quite nicely there at the front. I'm just going to trim off that bit because it's looking a bit scruffy. The stem length doesn't allow me to put it in any taller, and I only have one stem in today, so that's where it's going to go. And I'm going to add in another little bit of the calla lily there, or the arum lilies at the front. What you have to remember with calla lilies or any soft stem flowers like tulips, daffodils, anything that's really hollow stemmed as well, is that when you tie it at the end and you squash all those stems together, there's a chance that you're going to damage the flower stems. So you must always finish your bouquet with a thicker flower, something that's going to be able to protect the softer stems. And that could be foliage or another flower. So you'll see that every time I add in something that's soft stemmed, I'm adding a stronger flower on top of it to protect it. And that's where a lot of new florists go wrong. A lot of florists that haven't trained and think they can do it, don't. The minute you tie it off, it weakens the stem, and then you'll see photos, wedding photos, you know, professional photography photos. That was a bit of a mouthful. You'll see wedding photos of brides by professional photographers on their wedding day, and the flowers are snapped and it looks really bad. And that's because they haven't finished it off with a stronger piece of flower. Now then, we're going to go a little bit more softer towards the end and a little bit more whimsical. This is Sanguisorba. It's a gorgeous burgundy colour. It's something that's very popular in the autumn, and it's gorgeous in a bouquet. I'm just going to make it a bit thinner. And because I placed one in this section here, I don't want to repeat that on the opposite side. It needs to go in lower down or higher up, so we're not matching it on both sides. But this is quite an unusual colour combination to have blues and burgundies, but it is really pretty and I really like it. So you can see a slight V starting to form. If I extend the height up with the blue Delphinium, I'm now really emphasising that V shape. I've got another one on the opposite side. And what we're really looking to do is to make quite a lightweight bouquet. We don't want anything that's really heavy. The days, the fashions are changing. When we're moving away from those very heavy designs, lots of greenery, lots of flowers. We're going for things that are a little bit softer. And I'm continuing to add across the front, where you're looking at it, and across the back, so that that spiral effect is really emphasised. Now I have one lovely dahlia. I only have one burgundy dahlia, and I'm leaving that right until the very end, because the dahlia is quite soft, quite delicate. I don't want to place it in too soon, because I know it's going to get damaged every time I add a new flower in. If you're turning the bouquet like I've done there, remember to hold it really tightly as you turn, so the flowers don't all fall out. It's a bit soul destroying when you turn the bouquet like this and you don't hold it tight enough and everything moves around and falls apart. So I'm going to come in with some of the Cosmos. Now if you're a wedding florist and you're not using Cosmos at the moment, then you're not in fashion, because the Cosmos is the real trending flower at the moment. Everybody is using it in their bridal bouquets, in their table arrangements. And if you've got a local flower farm to you, then it will really benefit you, because it'll be much better quality, because it's not got quite so far to travel if you're buying it from the florist auction or from your florist supplies. So I don't want to go too low with that, because I really want to create that V. Now what's happened is the flower that I put in at the very beginning has slightly moved, and I'm losing the V shape in the middle. So I'm going to take this one out and I'm going to bring it in more from the edge. I'll probably have to turn this around so I can see exactly what I'm doing. And I'm also going to move one of the Cosmos that's at the back. Now, creating a bouquet like this, I would normally stand in front of a mirror, and then I can see the shape really forming quite nicely. My plan is that my larger my larger dahlia is going to come more here towards the front. But I'm quite happy with that shape that's formed. I'm not looking for it to be perfectly balanced on either side. I don't want it to be matching on both sides. It's a whimsical design, it's a lightweight design. It needs to be delicate looking and very pretty. I've added quite a lot to the back of the arrangement, but not quite so much to the front. So that's the area I'm going to work on next. Just going to add a little bit of flower to the front, because that then gives it that nice three-dimensional effect. If we look at it from the side, it's not flat here at the front. We need to have width, height to give you a good proportion and good balance. And now I'm going to place in my lovely dahlia. Now I do only have one of these. In real life I would probably have three, And what I don't want to do is place it right in the front in the middle, because it's going to be a little unbalanced. So we're going to put it slightly off to one side. I might have to fiddle around with it until I'm happy with where it's going to go. Ideally, I would like it on top of that white chrysanthemum, but let's see if we can get it in that position. Now, if you do want to do what I'm doing here and slacken off the arrangement, then just loosen your hand off. There we are. I think that's perfect. Just loosen your hand off to open up the bouquet, and then you can add some flowers in from the centre. I think I'm quite happy with the shape of that. I obviously can't see it because there's no mirror behind the camera. And I'm just going to finish it off, making sure that I've protected any soft stems with a few pieces of eucalyptus just around the outside, on the left and the right side. And I think if you take anything from this video, is that you need to practice with a hand-tied bouquet. You need to practice with different types of flowers and keep practicing until you're really confident doing it. What you will find is that the first time you do it, you'll be holding it really tightly, your hands will be really warm, the flowers will get damaged and the flowers will get squashed as you're working with it. But the more confident you become, the better your designs and your styles will be. And play around with different flowers until you find something that you're comfortable working with. I'm going to slightly move this one again at the back to open up that V shape a little bit more. Before you tie it, if you're unsure about anything, just wiggle it around. Now, if you're new to this type of design, you might be thinking that you can't see the V, because I do have some lightweight flowers here in the middle. But the V is definitely in the centre. It's just we don't want to have it too flat, that it's very shallow, and there's not a lot of different variations of heights in the bouquet. So that's my basic outline. I'm just going to move these to one side so they're out of the way. I had a couple of spare flowers just in case they were needed. My workbench is nice and clean. I'm going to grab myself a piece of string. Now, there are lots of novelty ways of tying off a bouquet. I wouldn't worry too much about how you do it. Some people double up the string and leave a little bit of a loop. I'm going to leave a long section underneath my hand, and then the longer piece of string I'm going to wrap around the top. The important part of this is that you tie this, or you take the string around directly underneath the thumb and the finger that's holding the bouquet. If you take the string down too low, the top of it's all going to splay out. If you take it too high at the top, the whole bouquet is going to be squashed up at the top. So it needs to go directly underneath your hand. You want to make sure that you don't have any thorns or any leaves wrapped up in that piece of string. And I'm just going to show you there. Can you see there? So before I tie this, I need to get rid of those little bits of leaves. The reason we don't want them in the tie point is that we want to make that as comfortable for the bride to carry as possible. And you will find that if you look at photographs, you can always tell whether a florist is trained or self-taught, because there is no spiral in the bouquet and the stems are all crossed and mixed matched. So when we get to this stage here, I'm just going to tie that into a knot. Some people use florist tape instead of the string, but I like to use the string first and then cover it in binding tape. There's nothing worse than a bride carrying a design down the altar and the bouquet falls apart. So I like to ensure that it's secure by using the string first, then the florist tape, then I put ribbon on the outside. But for this video, I'm just going to get to the stage where it's just cut to a manageable length so that it can sit in a vase of water overnight. Then tomorrow I would finish this off. Before I deliver it to the bride, I would finish this off with a nice decorative ribbon, but I would leave it like this just in case there's a problem or anything needs to be changed the following day. It's much easier to just remove the string than remove all of the decorative ribbon and any trailing ribbon that might be added to it. And if this is a type of video that would be popular on the channel, videos that are more aimed at florists, then let me know in the comment box, because I can certainly do more hand-tied bouquets. But before I deliver this to my bride, I would make sure that the stem length is no longer than 2 hand spans, because there's nothing worse than a bride sticking these stems into her dress and her stomach instead of being able to walk down the aisle with it in a really relaxed position. So that's a very basic guide on how to do a V sort of shaped bridal bouquet. Please pop over to the website, because there's courses on bridal hand ties and commercial hand ties that you would make for the shop. And you might not realise that once a month live on Zoom I do a lesson teaching bridal bouquets. I normally promote that via Instagram and Facebook, so if you're not following me on either of those, I would maybe recommend that you follow me there, and you'll be able to see when I do a live lesson, and then you'll get the opportunity to ask questions. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a different look at floral design to the traditional designs in foam. Don't forget to like, follow and share with your friends, and ask questions in the comment box. I look forward to seeing you for the next video very soon. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.